here. Let me just record this session. Okay. So first off, what is AWS? AWS. AWS means Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services. So it's a basically a cloud model where the data centers are located somewhere and you get access to the servers. You can deploy, as many servers and pay as you go. So you do not have to buy your own machines. You do not have to, pay upfront for any servers. You just, spawn the machine, you just configure the servers and there you go. For each and every, majority of the e-commerce companies are using this model, that is pay as you go. So you spawn an ec2 instance, that is just a basic computer server, and and you just pay as you go. That is the main core reason why Amazon Web Services, Azure Web Services, GCP are successful, because you just need to pay the services that you use on the go. That is one thing. And the second thing is, so where does Terraform come into play? And what is Terraform? Give me a moment here. Let me just pull up another file. So here we go. So what is Terraform? So Terraform is basically an open source infrastructure tool which comes under IAC, that is infrastructure as a code. Infrastructure as a code. So what we do with Terraform is we deploy servers, we deploy, give me a moment here. Okay, so we deploy the servers, load balancers, whatever we need without using the graphical user interface. So we do not use the graphical user interface, but we deploy these servers by writing some code, writing code. So in which language this code is written? This code is written in Terraform using JSON, JSON format. So this whole thing works on JSON. So let me just demonstrate you what AWS is, and then we can take it from there. Give me a moment here. AWS. No. AWS. AWS login. So AWS management. Sorry. AWS management console. AWS Management Console. So this is AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, where we will deploy our EC2 machines and deploy load balancers. We're gonna host our web pages over there. So this is the web user interface of AWS. Give me a moment. Let me just sign into the console. So this is the console. So I've already created one user, but today we will be creating another user and for the Terraform, and we're gonna be configuring the credentials using AWS CLI. So let me just first show you how to deploy an EC2 instance or just a normal compute machine. So what we do is we gonna navigate to the EC2 services here. So the EC2 services are coming up. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna launch an instance. So first, launch an instance. So we are selecting here Amazon Linux 2. This machine will be, this operating system and machine will be configured. And this is the T2 micro, that is the instance type. So this specific instance type is free, so you do not have to pay for anything if you use T2 Micro. And clearly it states that it's free tier eligible, so you do not have to pay. This machine will be comprising of one CPU and 1 GB memory. So let's configure the details. This is the VPC, that is the private net, private cloud subnet. IP, we're gonna go with the defaults right now until and later on in the future we're gonna learn about what VPC is, what subnets are, what public IP is. So let's review and launch. So this is the review overview of what this machine will be comprising of: one CPU, one memory, EBS, elastic block storage, SSH, instant details. We are going with the default storage will be default. So we basically what we are doing is just like in our day-to-day lives where we use Windows. Similar way, we will be installing an operating system that is Amazon Linux here on the cloud, so that we can run our web server over there. So once again, reconfiguring each and everything. Linux 2 machine, then free tier eligible T2 Micro, type, review and launch. This is the overview, and we're gonna launch this machine. Now for on the in the GUI, we need to create a new key pair, because for humans we use username and password, but for machines they use keys. So basically there is a concept of private and public and private key. I will create a key. I will name it my key, and I will download this key pair. So this key has been downloaded. Now I will launch an instance. So this instance is basically, like I told you, this instance is basically an operating system just like Windows. So we have this instance configuring up, spawning up. We will see public IP of this machine. We will see private IP of this machine. Instance state is pending. It's gonna be spawning up shortly. Right now we do not have an instance running, but shortly it's gonna be running. Now instance state has been changed to running. Status check are initializing. So that's how we deploy a basic EC2 instance, or basic operating system on cloud. So it will work just like the other operating systems, Windows, maybe Linux, maybe whatever we install on our computers. We can similarly do the same thing on Amazon Web Services. So I will terminate this instance for now, and we're gonna spawn a new instance. This new instance through Terraform code. Just give me 1 minute here. So I'm just terminating the instance. So it's gonna say terminate, and this instance is shutting down. It's gonna be terminated. Now we won't have any running instance right now. It's shutting down, and so we are good to go. Now similar thing we can do with the Terraform. Just by writing the code, we do not have to click these buttons. We do not have to use the graphical user interface. We will just be using a code, and with one single click, once we write the code, with one single click we can deploy the entire EC2 instance with one single code. So that's one thing. And now let's first we will have to download Terraform. So I will write Terraform download. So here we are. So first, to start using the Terraform tool, we have to download the tool. So to download, we have a number of options for different operating systems. Right now, we will go with the Windows. We will just keep it simple, and we will go with the Windows. It's gonna download the operating the a tool for Windows operating system. We're gonna extract it. We're gonna set up a path for Terraform, and then we will use the tool so as to deploy the infrastructure or the operating system on Amazon AWS services. So it's already been downloaded. Here we go. Extract, extract. So it has been extracted. It's in my desktop folder. Give me a moment here. So here it is. So right now, if we click it and if we want it to work, it's not gonna work. So what we have to do is to copy this Terraform exe file, and we have to set a path so that our command prompt recognizes it. So I'm just copying it, and I will be putting it in the program files here, Terraform. So I have already done that, but still, just for the demo sake, I will just replace the file in the destination, continue, and there we go. We have the application in our program files. Now, it won't work. From here, it can work. If we shoot up the command prompt, it will work. But it won't work if we start Terraform from the command prompt directly. So we have to set up a path. Give me one moment here. Let me just set up a path. Uh, First, demonstrate what does this mean. Terraform. So I have already set up the path here, but I will let you know how the path is set up. So we have this folder in, we have this application in our C drive, C program files folder. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up environmental variables so that the system identifies and knows where the application is while, launching the command prompt. So give me one moment here, and environ mental variables. So here we will set up the path. We go to the environmental variables. In the system variables, we have to set up a path for this folder. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the path folder. So I have already, pasted the path earlier, but I will just, for the demo sake, I will just, perform this action once again. So new, and I will just paste this path and click OK. So this path has been set up, and just like the previous time, if we if we write Terraform, this thing will come up, all the commands and stuff like that. So that's how we configure Terraform on Windows. That's a simple, easy step. I will share the complete complete those complete steps with you in the in one of the slides. So that's one thing done. Now what we need to do is to set up is to download the AWS CLI, because without AWS CLI we won't be able to punch in the credentials. Now to start using AWS, we need to install AWS CLI. So let's download AWS CLI. That is the command line interface. And here we go, user guide, AWS CLI download. Give me a moment here. So AWS CLI download installing. So here we go. So this AWS CLI MSI file is downloading now. We will install this AWS CLI on Windows. Then we will put our credentials for AWS so that we can use we can log in and we can execute our Terraform code through Terraform directly without punching in the credentials, because if we punch in the credentials in the code, it might get leaked, it might get shared with on GitHub repositories, and there might be unwanted cost. Somebody might mine the mine be bitcoins and cryptocurrency on that. So it's better to put credentials on the Windows machine rather than putting credentials on the in the code itself. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install AWS CLI here. I'm just installing, I have already installed, but I'm just installing it once again. So give me a moment here. It's gonna shoot up shortly. Okay, related applications. And once we are done with it, we gonna be creating a user, IAM user, so that we can use that user to spawn these virtual machines, that is EC2 instances online on AWS, AWS, Amazon Web Services on the cloud. Give me a moment here. So next, I accept. Next install. So it's going to install the command line interface. So remember, if we are using GUI, we do not need to download AWS CLI. We do not need to download Terraform and configure Terraform. Terraform and AWS CLI is required when we are writing code or when we are shooting commands. Otherwise, we do not need it. In industrial settings, only these tools are used only to write the code and deploy and execute the code to spawn the virtual machines. Otherwise, if we have if an industry is using GUI to configure the machines, they do not need these tools. But in industrial settings, it's always the code that is run on either on Linux or on Windows, and the infrastructure is configured with a single click. The benefits of using a code is we do not need to use the graphical user interface, which is time consuming. We can use second thing is the code is reusable, so we can use the code again and again, the same code again and again. The third thing is a duplicacy, so we can use the same code and execute the same kind of infrastructure again and again. If we use a graphical user interface, we might miss something, like we might miss configuring EBS storage, or we might miss configuring elastic IP. But with Terraform code, if we have written one code, then it can be reused a number of times, and the infrastructure will be just similar to the previous one. And regarding termination, if you want to terminate or shut down or redeploy the operating system, we can use the same code, and it can be done with a single click in no time. So here we are, we have no instances running at this point of time. Give me a moment here. So instances, okay, so we do not have any instances. This thing is showing terminated, so we do not have any running instances. We're gonna be deploying a new EC2 instance using the Terraform code, and I will let you know how to write the Terraform code uh, from basics to advanced. Give me a moment here. So here we go. Now, before writing the code, we need to set up the credentials. So as to set up a credentials, we need a user. Now here I have set up a user that is week 1313, but I will be creating another user, and we're gonna be configuring that user on to deploy the infrastructure on Terraform. So we're gonna search for IAM, that is identity and access management. Go to search identity and access management, and click identity and access management. So now go to the users, add a new user, add users. So username, I would say, any user, uh, my user, my underscore user. I will select AWS credential type. So these things, I mean, either of these things can be chosen, or both can be, can be chosen simultaneously. So access key refers to programmatic access. That is, the command line prompt we are talking about. So this thing, this access key programmatic access is used for command line prompt, and this thing, password AWS management console access, is used to log in as a simple user, just like we log in on Facebook. This thing is used. So in majority of the times we do not click this AWS management console access, but for just to visualize each and everything, we're gonna be, for now we're gonna be clicking both of these, checking both of these options. Console password would be, auto generated password. We do not care, because we won't be using that. Majority of the cases, in majority of the cases, they do not configure this AWS management console access. So right now just leave it by default, and we're gonna require password reset. We do not need any password reset. So this is these all are the major things we need to check right now. So next, permissions. We're going to be attaching existing policies. We won't be creating any new policies here. And once you click this attach existing policies directly, we're going to be giving this user an administrative access for now. We can configure this user in a variety of different ways, but for now, give each and every access. So this user will be getting administrator access. That is, this user can do anything. Account full access. They can modify the account. They can get the full access to the APIs. They can get full access to AppSync, Athena, backup, batch, everything. So right now we will go with the full access. So here we are. Okay, full access. So administrative access, you can see what kind of access it is here. So that's the same thing that's going to be pulled up, account full access and stuff. So we're going to be going with administrator access. Next, tags. We can give any tags, name, user, any tags, review. So now we will create a user, and this user has been created now. Now this thing, we can be this thing can be downloaded. Either this thing can be copied and pasted on notepad, or this thing can be downloaded with this as a .csv file. So this is the .csv file. So we will have our login link, everything, user password, and each and everything here. But right now we will just copy the secret access key. Remember, we do not need to share this access key in the code, though we can share, directly put these access keys in the code, and have the infrastructure configured. But ideally it's not a good practice. Ideally what we do is we just configure the credentials on the host machine that we are working on, that is Windows. And we do not put these credentials in the file, because anybody can get access to these credentials, and they can uh, they can just they can either hack into your account. They can mine cryptocurrency. That's gonna increase your budget significantly. So let me just copy these credentials here in Notepad. uh, Give me a moment here. So we're gonna be copying these credentials in Notepad for the moment. So okay, so there it is, secret access key, and We do not need the password though, so we won't be copying the password. Access key ID, access key, here we are. Here we are. So we just need the access key and the secret key, and I will just save it in the notepad, and I will just close it. There we go. So I will show you where these get this group this user has been created. So once again, just search for IAM, 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 and once we click IAM, go to users, and we have this user created, my user. Remember this these access keys and secret keys are displayed only once. So once you close get those credentials, you won't be able to get those credentials again. So make sure that you copy those credentials in a separate notepad, or just download the .csv file. Now we are done with the creating of the user. So we have created the user. We have one user right now. Now what we're gonna do is let me just log out of this system, and let me just I am user log in with the new user, my user account ID. I have one account ID. Okay, account ID. Give me a moment here. Let me just pull up the 12 digits of the account ID. Uh, Account ID. Okay. Let me just sign in using a user. Give me a moment here. And that's how you log in as a root user. So root user is the basic account type, and basically we actually disable the root user, but right now I have to copy the 12 digits of the root user ID, so I have to log in. Just give me one moment. So no. Okay, Mfa code. I have an MFA, that is multi-factor authentication code, enabled in it. You do not have to enable that. It's an additional security, but and to punch in the MFA code here. So 748198198. So once we okay. MFA 613907 is my MFA code. It's gonna log me in as a root user, and I will just copy this thing. This is the 12 digits ID that I require. I will just copy and paste it here. So now once again I will log out, so that we can visually see what's happening when we write the Terraform code. So I'm signing into the console. Once again, I am user. The user we created was my user. No, sorry. Account ID is this one. The user we created was my user, my underscore user. The password, oh my god, I just forgot to mention the password. Okay, just give me one moment here. Let's just create another user. I think I forgot creating the password here. Copying the password here. So just give me one moment. Let me just quickly recreate the user, the IAM user here. and Mfa code. So the Mfa code is in my mobile phone. So I'm just you know punching in the credentials from my mobile, and every time we actually punch in a different code because it keeps on changing every time. So here we go, Mfa code. What was the code this time? 438529. 438529 and submit. Here we go. So we have this IAM. Once again, we will go to the IAM identity access management users 3. I will delete the user that we have created right now. So the user we created right now was my user. I will just delete this user for now, and we will create another user. So it will prompt us to enter the username. I have entered the username, and so I will just delete it. Okay, so this has been deleted. Add users, just like the older times, we created a different user. I will just put my user one, access key programmatic access, password AWS console access. Okay, and auto generated password, required password reset. No, we do not need required password reset. Here we are. Okay, attach existing policies, administrator access, just like the earlier times, and name should be user one, and review. So that's the overview, and we created one user. Now what we'll do, I actually last time I forgot copying the password, so this time I will copy everything. This thing remains the same for one account. This thing remains the same always. Now I will put password here. Here we go, password. This access key, once again I will copy this access key. This is a different one. So sorry, secret key, this is a different one. Now I will copy the access key. So here we are, we have this access key here. Okay, so we are all set. Right now I will show you how how everything works when we deploy a Terraform code, and this thing will be shown graphically. So that's why I'm logging into this user account that we have created right now. So the 12 digits are this thing. I will punch in the 12 digits. Next, we are not using the root user. We will be using the my user credential. So we have to put my user one, the user we created. So my underscore user one, and the password was auto generated, so we're gonna copy the password. Here I haven't have enabled MFA, so it's gonna log in without MFA, without prompting for MFA. That is the multi-factor authentication. So I don't have to get the code from my mobile phone and punch it into here. So there we are. My user at this ID that we have punched in has been logged in. So this is my user one. Now what we need to do is we can either just put in the credentials as it is in the code, or we can put in the credentials in Windows machine where they are secure. So let me just pull up one thing. We will be working on Visual Studio Editor. So so as to download the Visual Studio Code, you just search Visual Studio Code download. You download it for Windows, and then once it starts, I have already done it, so I need not to reinstall Visual Studio Code, but that's how you install Visual Studio Code. You just download the setup, and then you execute the setup, install the setup on your machine. Once you install the setup, then this thing will come up. This is the Visual Studio Code welcome page. You just close the welcome page. I have already created a directory. I will be, I need to delete the directory or else it's fine. Okay, so this thing will pop up and it's gonna ask us to install, Terraform plugin for so as to use the Terraform. So what we can do is we can install the Terraform plugins from here. Give me a moment here. Go, where is it? New folder, duplicate now. Source control, run and debug. Extensions. Okay, extensions. So you search for Terraform extension. Terraform. You search for Terraform. I have already installed Terraform configuration language. I have already installed Terraform syntax highlight. You can install it. Uh, you can install whatever you need, but I have installed Terraform and HashiCorp Terraform extension. You just need to click install and it's gonna be installing. That's it, done. And additionally, you can install JSON plugin. JSON plugin. So you can install the JSON plugin. There won't be any problem because we are writing a JSON code here. So that's it. That after install, you just need to download these three, install these three plugins, and there we go. Now, once our Visual Studio Code is set, Visual Studio Editor is set up now, and once our IAM user is set up, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up the credentials in our Windows machine. So how do we set up get these credentials in our Windows machine? Give me a moment here. We will pull up our CMD command line prompt, and we will search for a file. This folder, sorry, a folder. This folder comes up when you install AWS CLI. So we have already installed AWS CLI here. So it's going to create a folder called .aws. So the path for this folder is C users username and then the .aws. So let me just come out of this directory first. You use cd. So if we have only if we are only in c drive, then we can navigate to this folder by just using change directory command. Change directory c sorry, users slash .aws. This is the directory or the folder that has been created by AWS CLI to store the credentials. So we are in AWS .aws directory, and now if we want to check what's inside this directory, we will execute a command called dir, similar to ls command in Linux. So sorry. So this dir command is similar to ls command in Linux. We will execute dir here. So right now it has these are the folders I originally created, but when you do it, whenever you will do it, you will just find this directory empty, and you will have to create one folder, one file, sorry. So to create one file, we will use notepad, and we will create a file called credentials. So before that, let me just show you how many profiles we have right now. So in AWS, it's going to show us how many users we have. We have created one user, that is my user one, but it won't show my user one because we haven't have set up the credentials in our Windows machine. So let me just execute figure AWS configure list profiles. So sorry, what happened here? Oh, sorry, I actually misspelled configure. CONFIGURE list profiles. So this thing, so it's not showing any profile at all, though we have already created one user, my user one, but it's not showing that user here. So let me just clear CLS. So in Windows it's CLS, and in Linux this command is called clear, CLEAR. Anyways, so I have cleared the screen. Now what we're gonna do is, so
Didial.
Harsh, could you mute your mic? Daksh, Daksh,
Ding dong.
Daksh,
Huh?
could you mute your microphone, please? All right, just give me one moment. Okay, so we're gonna set up the credentials on our Windows machine discreetly so that nobody can access them, so that we do not have to plug those credentials in the Terraform code. So let's just configure our credentials file, that is the configure file. So I will use Notepad to configure the credentials file. So here we are. So we have this credentials file. Now what we will do is we will put these credentials, that is the access key and the secret key, in this file, so that AWS CLI will know that this user has been created, and the password and the access key and password is this thing. And later on, we do not have to write this these access key and and secret key into the Terraform code. So I will create one user one here, and I will put the credentials, access key and the secret key, AWS underscore access underscore key equals key ID equals, and secret key AWS underscore secret underscore access key AWC access underscore key equals. Okay, so we have we have set up the credentials. Now we have to plug in the credentials from here to this file, so that AWS CLI and AWS the Terraform would know where the credentials what the credentials are without mentioning them in the code. So I have just saved this file, and now let me just list the profiles just like older times. Oh, AWS configure AWS list. Give me a moment here. Notepad credentials. Oh, I didn't save it. How come I didn't save it? Okay, I need to save it again. AWS my user one AWS underscore AWS underscore key underscore ID equals this thing, AWS underscore CRET underscore key equals. Okay, let's just copy the access key and the access key and the secret key. Okay, here we go. I think I didn't save it, that's why. Okay, so we have saved this file. I will just execute directory that is ls once again, and we have this credentials.txt. Okay, earlier there was a problem with the credentials.txt. Okay, configure list profiles. Oh my god, what's happening here? Credentials. Credentials.txt. There's a problem with the file. Okay. Okay. We need to save it as something else. Notepad. Credentials.txt. No. Credentials.txt. Okay. We need to save it as something else. Save as all types credentials. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this thing is giving me error. I don't know why. Let me just figure it out, and we'll talk tomorrow. I think I will be terminating this class. We are done for the day. I will figure out what's the problem with the credentials file. Sorry guys but I don't know. There might be a problem with the format issue. Or else, give me a moment here. Credentials. Okay, let me just rename credentials.txt to credentials credentials credentials. Yeah. So we have this credentials file. I think it's gonna work now. Now it's working. So we have one user. It was all because of this TXT extension. So was the problem. Now that we have one, we have set up the credentials. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna write a simple code on now that we have saved the credentials on our computer. We have created the user. We have set up the AWS CLI. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create one EC2 machine, and that's it. That would be the the day's task. Let me just quickly create a workspace. I will create a workspace called AWS1 dir dot AWS1. I will use mkdir command, that is make directory command. So and now I will change to dir underscore AWS1 directory. Inside dir underscore AWS1 directory. Here what I will do is I will create one provider file and one main file. So let me just now there is a shortcut to open up the Visual Studio Code on the same folder that we are in. So the trick is to use code dot, that is the current directory. So this Visual Studio Code will open up the same in the same directory that we are in, that is dir AWS1. So that's the magic. A directory is opening up. Now we have an empty directory, and we will work on this empty directory. So let's create one provider file. Now this provider file will indicate which cloud services we are using, whether it's AWS, whether it's a GCP, or whether it's Azure. So this is the provider file. Now we have this provider.tf, that is the Terraform extension file. Now provider. Now provider AWS. Provider AWS. Now we are declaring that we are using AWS cloud here. So that's pretty much it. Now we need to mention the region, and I will take AP South 1 India region, and that's what we need to define and profile. That is the profile is the username we just created. We already have the credentials in the we have the credentials saved in our computer, so we do not need to mention the credentials, but we just will be mentioning the username here. So that's it, that's the provider, and that's it. That's one of the files, and we're gonna say control S for save, and this file has been saved. Now what we will do is we will shoot a terminal, and we're gonna download the necessary files and code for AWS, Amazon Web Services, so that Terraform code might know that that the code is for AWS, Amazon Web Services, rather than Azure or GCP. So for that, that is the preliminary step. This thing we have to do per directory basis. So for every directory, we have to execute this code. So Terraform init is the code so that this Terraform can download the necessary files and the code from internet pertaining to AWS services. So this command is downloading all the necessary files and folders. So in the meantime, let's just write a code for our EC2 instance. So here we are, .tf, that is for EC2 instance. Now, this thing we have to specify resource, that is what kind of resource we need to use. We need to use we will be spinning up instances, EC2 instances. So the resource name for EC2 instances is EC2 instance. And how you can figure out what what services, or what's the keyword for EC2 instance, or what's the keyword for a specific AWS service. We can just go to terraform.io, and we can just refer to their documentation. So for documentation, docs, intro to Terraform cloud. So we're gonna be we can use the Terraform docs. So let's just Terraform EC2 instance. So it's gonna show us how was the name of the EC2 instance, and how instance is created. So this thing is module resource type resource. We need resource. Yeah, uh, we need resource here. Okay. Uh, EC2 resource, no, EC2 Terraform EC2 EC2 hash cup. Just go Terraform Terraform resource EC2 EC2. Okay, so once we search for a Terraform resource called EC2, it's gonna show us the EC2 resource. So that's what we are looking for, resource EC2, then the name of the resource we want to assign. So I'm just copying and pasting this thing from here to here. So let's just copy and paste rather than typing. So we have a resource called AWS instance for the EC2. That's the same thing we did here, EC2 instance. So rather than clicking launch, review, and everything, we will just be launch instance, you know, creating deciding what kind of flavor of Linux, or what kind of operating system we need to use. We will just write the code for the following. So AWS instance, I will write my name my AWS instance as demo instance AMI. So we're gonna pick up the AMI from here. All right. So just we are just copying the graphical user interface and nothing else. So AMI refers to the image, the CD of the operating system. Just like we install uh, Windows and we need a CD, that is the same thing. Just give me one moment. Shubham raised the hand. Give me a moment.
Hello,
Yeah, yes, Shubham.
am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yeah, you are audible.
So,
Yes.
yes, sir. Sir, here we are using a Terraform .terraform file type, right? So
Yeah,
can we
.tf file.
use huh, so can we use .yaml file in place of that?
No, actually, Terraform works on JSON format only. If we use .yml file, then it won't work. Terraform specifically works on JSON format.
Okay, okay. Because see, what's the problem? At first time, I am interact with this Terraform .terraform file.
Okay.
So can you please show us means how we can write and read Terraform file?
Yeah, sure thing. I am getting to the point. Right now, I'm just giving you a gist of what this thing is. I mean, how Terraform works. It's just a taste of what a Terraform would do and what are the capabilities of Terraform. I will let you know how
Mhm.
these resources are written, how these resources are picked up, how what's the implication of a particular resource. So eventually, gradually, we're gonna cover each and everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Means,
Right?
see, as per my understanding, what we are doing here,
Mm-hmm.
instead of going on a AWS website and doing and initializing instance manually, here
Mm-hmm.
we are writing the code for that, so that we can create instance automatically through the code. Right, sir?
Exactly, exactly. That's what I mentioned. I think you joined the class late,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yes, I joined it. Sorry
So
for
when
that.
did you join?
Recently, 5 minutes. Before.
5 minutes ago? All
Yeah,
right, all right. I
yeah.
actually mentioned each and everything pertaining to why we use Terraform, why we, why we go for infrastructure as a code that is a Terraform tool. So you missed the class, but I might
Yeah,
provide you with I will provide you with the recordings. You can, you can watch the recording once again.
yeah.
I
Sure, sure, sure,
covered
sure.
everything from the very beginning because that's the essence of Terraform. Because if we are using GUI, for instance, if we want to launch an instance, say we have to launch an instance using Amazon Linux to we are reviewing launching and this thing, somebody
Yes,
might make
yes,
a
yes.
mistake because they might instead of T2 micro they might take T2 small, or they might
Yeah.
skip this step. So as to deploy the same infrastructure structure again and again and without any hassle, without making mistakes, we use Terraform, or we use a declarative language for doing this thing. Otherwise, GUI is very simple, but so as to reproduce the code, so as to minimize the mistakes, so as to automate the infrastructure, that's what we use. And most of the training in most of the trainings they do not actually cover Terraform, and this is the use case of industrial use case. In industries, nobody's going to be asking you to configure AWS instance on cloud using GUI, because GUI will take a lot of time, and but the
Yes, yes.
reproducibility is poor. The chances of making mistakes are higher, so nobody will ask you to deploy and spawn an EC2 instance using GUI. In industries, you have to
Mm-hmm.
be heavy with the Terraform.
Okay. And sir, see, there are lots of EC2 instances available on this GUI window, right?
Uh-huh.
So here we are using a free tier T2 dot micro instance,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Means what I'm thinking, this AMI. So what we have written here, that this AMI part. So this
Mhm.
AMI part will change as per a instance type, right, sir?
No, actually, it doesn't change. The thing is, we can choose any AMI, and we can choose any instance type. So the thing is, just correlate it with the GUI. Just like GUI, we are configuring Terraform. So just give me one moment here. Can you see the screen? Can you see the console of AWS?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
here we have Amazon Linux 2, and with this specific AMI, right? So,
Right, right,
and the second one is Red Hat Linux 8 with the specific AMI. Third one is
right, right.
with a specific AMI. So we can just pick up. You didn't need not to memorize each and everything, or you need not to just search for each and everything. We can just pick
No,
it up from GUI and put it in the code itself. Like,
yeah,
here we have this AMI. We can just replace this EMI with this EMI. All right.
yeah.
That's one thing.
Means AMI is a unique part for every instance, right? Every machine,
Yeah, it's the
unique
operating
code.
system. It's through, you know, just like Windows CD, we for to install Windows 7, we need a Windows 7 CD, right? So as to install,
Mm.
Red Hat Linux or CentOS Linux, we need a different CD. Similarly, AMI, that is Amazon Machine Image, is a kind of CD. So it provides the necessary files of that particular operating system, and it's going to install that particular operating system. That is that is why we have they have specified different AMIs. So as per your requirement, if you want Ubuntu server, just copy this AMI from here and paste it over in the code itself. So that's one thing.
Yeah,
Now, once we configure this part in GUI, for instance, we have taken Ubuntu Linux. We have selected Ubuntu Linux, right?
yes,
Now, if we want to, if we have a requirement of a powerful vCPU and more memory, then we can choose T2 large, X large. So what we have to do is, from GUI we have to copy and paste it here.
yeah, yeah,
That's it. Done. So we will
yeah.
have a different AMI and a different instance type. All right.
Yeah,
And
got it, sir. Yeah, yeah.
for a particular AMI, we could have used X large or T2 micro. We can use anyone.
Yes.
All right. So that's one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Give me a moment here.
Thank
Let
you,
me
sir.
just copy the AMI for Amazon Linux that we did earlier, because it's a free tier. So, you can practice as much as you
Yes,
want.
yes.
Okay. Here we are. So that's for AMI. Now, give me one moment. I'm in Mumbai. It is South one. Okay. Okay. So we have mentioned the instance type. Now, what we need, what we can do is, we can, tag these operating systems. So just like in Web UI, select Amazon EC2 instance. Here we go. And T2 micro for our ease, and T2 micro launch key part. Sorry, we have to give you one moment here. Tags. Okay. Okay, configure security group. We're gonna leave it as it is for now. Launch. Okay, launch the instance. Acknowledge. Okay, initiating instance launch. Now, here we can put tags, or while launching the instance we can put tags. These are called tags. Here, my instance, for say, these are the tags. So we can put tags in our EC2 instance. We can tag our EC2 instance for our ease. So just like the similar way, we will put tags in here. So name of the instance, name of the instance, three demo instances. All right. So we have the name. and in JSON. So the basic difference between JSON and this YML is these curly braces. So instead of curly braces, they use indentation. So for every every subheading, for you can say, they have an indentation. So they in YML, but in here we do not have to worry about subheadings because we have the braces in place. So that is the difference between this YML and JSON. Okay, and now we have tagged it. We're gonna control and save. So we have our code, basic code for our demo instance that will spawn an EC2 instance named demo instance with the tags 3 demo instances. So we have the code ready. Now what we can do is pull up the terminal, new terminal, pull up the terminal. I will just close this one. Okay, pull up the terminal and we're gonna test the code whether the code is perfect or not. So we test the code using Terraform plan. So once we execute, it's gonna show us what all resources will be. Okay, uh, like expected, what all resources will be added to the Amazon Web Services. Now we have an error in the code, that is tags equals. Earlier they did not use these equal to sign with the tags, but now they have the version. I think from 9 version or so they have started using equals with the tag. So that was the reason why this error came up. Now it will show what resources it's gonna be. Okay, give me a moment here. AWS provider, AWS. Uh, get latest dance. What is this? Configuring no valid credential source for AWS provider form. Please see. What is this? Okay, let me just check if there is a problem with the profiles here. CUNFIGURA configure list PROFIL list profiles. It's saying my user provider. Just give me one moment here. AWS provider, AWS. Okay, region AP South 1 profile my user 1. Mm, okay, that's fine. Main.tf AWS T2 micro for US West. Okay, it might be because of AMI, I think. Just give me a moment here. Error, please see. Failed to load file my user one. Okay. Find credentials in the environment caused by request error. Okay, so it is because of credentials issue. I will have to configure one more file. I think it's .cunfig file. So we can do it tomorrow because it's already like you know more than 40 minutes here. Let's wrap up and let's configure this whole thing tomorrow, uh, same time. And tomorrow we're gonna be launching 3 different instances from the same code. Otherwise in the normal scenario we would have to time and again launch instances by clicking by spawning one instance after another. But with code we can spawn 3 instances at the same point of time with one line of with one snippet of code. So we're gonna do it tomorrow. I think there is a problem with the credentials file. I will check it out. I don't know what happened, so I will check it out and we will continue from tomorrow. So good day guys, take care, bye bye. Any questions? If any questions, just let me know and unmute yourself and let me know. Nothing? Should I wrap up?
No, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, take care. Bye bye.